All right, we're going to get started today with a question from Dwayne Rankin with the Arizona Republic, followed by Saul Bookman.
Thanks, Palmer. Coach, you always talk about competing and raising that level, each and every day in practice. Are you seeing the competitor in Cameron Payne, considering, hey, when he joined you guys, he made obviously an impact, but now you got, more guys and the competition, I'm sure, is high. How do you see him battling, obviously to get those opportunities?
Yeah, one thing that James identified was, raising the level of competition from position to position, because we felt like it would bring the best out of all of our guys. And, Cam, in that respect, is a guy who hasn't settled for the success he had in Orlando, because he knows he has to show everybody in the league that he can be a consistent performer night in and night out. And so I think having multiple guys in those guard positions and watching them in practice get after each other, and whether it's drills or scrimmages, right now where guys are still on the floor shooting in shooting games because they love to compete. And I think it brings the best out of you, as I alluded to as I started talking. But as it applies to Cam, I think it's just going to make him a better player. Going against Chris every day, playing against Devin and Javon and switching situations. I don't think there's a time in my time here where, like 1 through 5, there's guys that will come after you every single day at every position.
Next up is Saul Bookman with Fox Sports Arizona, followed by Kellen Olson.
Coach, in your time as a head coach before you got to Phoenix, obviously there's some learning curves or some lessons learned from your prior stop. And though last year was kind of an unusual one, what did you try to modify in terms of your approach or your routine? And was it successful? And what did you learn about that first year here? And did it align with what you thought you needed to modify?
I think anybody who's had the opportunity to coach one time and go through that and, move on or get fired, whatever the case may be, you look at things you could do better. I'm not an expert at it, but you probably overanalyze stuff. You tend to not even pay attention to what you did well. You just kind of dive into correcting things. And so, I'm hopeful that I'm a better listener than I was before. I hope that, I allow people to do their jobs, and let people help me. I think that was something I probably struggled with. I tried to do too much on my own. As it relates to players, I hope that, the guys feel like they have a level of input into the program. It's not something that I'm creating. It's something that we are creating and building. I don't think I could have been good at it. I could have been poor at it, but I don't even think I was aware of it before. I didn't even think about it. I just thought about the daily grind of coaching and being on the floor and film and games. That was my mindset. Probably I'm a bit more I've expanded the way I look at the position of head coach and all of the positions in the building so that I can help people be the best version of themselves.
Next up is Kellen Olson with Arizona Sports, followed by Brendan Clean.
Hey, Coach, where would you assess the group is at a little under a week into full practices now?
I'd say we are right where we need to be, a little under a week of practices. It's just a lot to deal with. This kind of setup is different than anything we've ever dealt with. I think coaches around the league probably are dealing with the same set of circumstances in that guys didn't get a chance to play the typical month and a half of pickup ball before they, stepped onto the floor for training camp. For some people, this is the first time they played 5-on-5. And so the timing that has to happen and you got to get that timing back. When that takes place, it's going to be different for different guys. So I think, we've hit our guys with a lot of information. We've hit them up because we have a bunch of guys that were in our system. So we feel like they could pick it up quickly and teach the new guys. But as it relates to playing, it may benefit us because we still have a lot of young guys and they recover quickly. Whereas if you had a veteran team, I'm not quite sure how much those guys are going to, play if they hadn't played before all this started. But I can't say I'm like overly excited about where we are, but I'm not upset about it at all. I just think we're right where we need to be because of the circumstances. There's no template for this. There's no reference point. So you just have to take it day by day and try to manage what you have.
Next is Brendan Clean with Bright Side of the Sun, followed by Dwayne Rankin.
I asked DeAndre about, he was kind of talking about playing alongside some of the younger bigs, Jalen and Damian. I guess Damian's about the same age as he is, but just that camaraderie, that group, and the fact that he might have to play a little more because those guys aren't an Aaron Baines backup type of player. So I'm curious if you see him playing more minutes, a heavier role this season. I know last season he never really settled into one, but where do you see him kind of slotting in from a minutes and role perspective this year?
I don't know, and that's not me dodging the question. We have to figure out what this is going to look like as it relates to all the games coming back at you and less practice time and back-to-backs. I think we have 14 back-to-backs. That's a lot of back-to-backs in a short period of time. Staying over in the cities may help us, like the bubble did. When you don't have to travel and play in the same arena 2 days later, that might be a benefit to a younger team or a younger guy like DA. But, it seems like he's really effective in that 32-minute range. In this particular basketball environment, with as many games as we're going to play in a short period of time, I think depth is going to be an asset for teams that have it. So you could see Damian play, more 5 because he has the ability to put pressure on the rim. Dario is going to play some 5 because that was effective for us in Orlando and his ability to push the ball. You can play DA and Dario together, and they're pretty interchangeable. So we'll see how it works out, but I think you got to take it case by case, game by game. You got the virus. That's something that could change the landscape of the whole league. And so we just don't know right now. Hope that helps.
Next up, we have Dwayne Rankin with the Arizona Republic.
Yeah, with Jay taking care of his business and getting acclimated more with you guys, is this a situation where you bring him along slowly when you combine that short turnaround from him, all the other things you just mentioned, or is it, hey, let's get him going right away and see how he blends with us?
Probably a combination of both. I mean, guys who play deep into the season like that, you have to give them a chance to acclimate. And then, we had the draft, free agency, and the start of training camp in a matter of 3 weeks. So everybody's world in that space has been changed a lot. But he's in the gym. He's doing a lot of work with our guys. But I think you have to be careful with guys like that. He played a big role for Miami on both ends of the floor and logged, good minutes for them. And so the one thing I've noticed with him is just looking at him from afar, he's a guy that stays in great shape. He's not a guy that gets out of shape. So I think that's going to be a benefit for him. I think he'll ease into it a lot more quickly than people think.
Okay, and just to follow that up, and like you said, you said earlier, like where we want to be. Maybe I'm not totally happy with it, but this is where we are, and I'm good with it. Come Saturday, I mean, what honestly are you expecting to see when only had days, not weeks, to get ready, for a game, be it preseason?
Well, I expect us to play with a great deal of force because I'm not going to overextend guys with minutes in the first game. That would be, I don't think that'd be smart. I do think the first team, the guys who were here, at least, they're ahead, in my opinion, just because this is year 2, kind of like year 3 for those guys. If you count the Orlando situation as a year or a second season. And so I when I say I'm not happy with where we are, but I'm not upset. It's just we are where we are. I'm not really grading that because I don't think you can. I don't think it's fair to the guys because of the situation we're in. But in Saturday's game, I hope to get Book and DA and those guys up in that close to 15, 16 minutes, maybe 18, and then build from there. We've tried to, in our practices, build up. We started, I think, where guys were playing, 6-minute quarters, and then the next day we tried to graduate to 8 to 9. Today we got up to where we played a quarter and a half, and guys after practice were shooting and running around like they wanted more. So I think they're in decent shape. I don't think they're in great shape, but I don't know of any team that's going to be in great shape right now.